get started. So find a block or a bolster and sit atop. And for those of you who are new, who I don't know, my name is Jessie Mahoney, and I am a pediatrician and a mindful coach and a yoga teacher. And I lead retreats where I do all of those things, not pediatrics, in person. And today's class is going to be a more restorative wind down class than I usually teach. And for those of you that have joined me for this series, for the last 3 or 4 classes, I have been teaching gentle, adaptive, recovery, restorative. And so this class is going to be the most restorative, most relaxing wind down class. For those of you for whom it's evening, it can be pre-bed and you can roll on into bed. And restorative yoga is a little bit different than the yin gentle yoga in that it is designed specifically to unwind your sympathetic nervous system and engage your parasympathetic nervous system. So your resting and healing nervous system. And what it requires is settling into poses and focusing on the breath, and that's about it. So it's not the active yoga that many of you are used to, and yet its work can be much more profound in healing and stress reduction and helping with sleep. And it's something that I teach at a lot of my retreats because it can be simple. And while today we're going to do a series of poses, restorative yoga can actually be done as one pose. The key to restorative yoga is having some kind of props. So for those of you that are just coming on, if you have blocks or a bolster or a blanket or a couch pillow, you can use that. And I will offer some modifications if you don't have any props. But the props make it just much more delicious and luxurious. And so I welcome you to bring your mind and your body into this same spot, into the Zoom spot, into your spot on the floor or the earth if you happen to be outside. And connecting with your sit bones and your ischial spines, perhaps move the flesh of your seat out of the way and tilting that pelvic bowl forward, aligning your spine all the way up through the crown of your head. And taking in a deep inhale in through your nose and out through your mouth. We'll begin focusing on the breath, bringing mind and body together, moving the oxygen through the body, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Allowing yourself to slow and be present here in this moment, all together in community from all over the country. Coming together to restore, heal, recover, nourish, and relax. If it's comfortable for you, you can close your eyes and notice your shoulders with intention. Shrug them up and drop them down, relaxing the shoulder neck muscles. And if it feels comfortable, flip your palms open to the sky, letting the light in, the energy in through the palms. Relax your shoulders with intention. Come back to the breath. Breathing in and out. Notice on the inhale where the breath travels. And on the exhale where it travels. Breathing in and out at a slow, easy pace. Match the inhale and the exhale. One more breath with matched inhale and exhale, matched force and depth. And we'll do a little bit of what they call 4-7-8 breathing, which is an intentional type of breathing to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and encourage the calm. So we'll breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and out for 8. And we'll just do 3 rounds. And I will count, but if you need to go at a different rate, you can count for yourself. And so take a clearing breath here. And breathe in for 4. Hold for 7. Out for 8. And breathe in for 4. Hold for 7. Out for 8. And breathe in for 4. Hold for 7. Out for 8. Do 2 more rounds on your own, counting the breath, counting for yourself at your own pace and rate. And when you're finished, pause and notice how you feel. Noticing a minute or 2 of breathing can make a huge shift. And we'll bring a hand to heart and another hand to top. As always, practicing self-compassion for those of us who need practice, remembering that we have a heart underneath there. Noticing perhaps it beating, or maybe you can't feel it, but connecting with its presence underneath the bottom hand, pressing the heel of the hand into that heart space, and envisioning the oxytocin and the serotonin and the dopamine being released, circulating around, envisioning it being carried by every cell to every other cell, all the way to the big toes, little toes, big thumb, pinky finger, and enjoying it. Noticing that top hand on the bottom hand and rubbing them, noticing the skin to skin. Releasing more of those neurochemicals, positive neurochemicals, to help you feel good and bring relaxation. And if you are feeling fidgety or the transition to slowing down is tricky, come back to the breath and allow the slowness, allow the discomfort of the slowness. It's part of the intention to intentionally slow down your nervous system. Slowing down your heart rate, slowing down your breath. Sending yourself compassion for your usual speed and urgency through the world. Letting things slow on purpose, with purpose. And as you rest here, hand to heart, I wanted to share a little bit from a book that I found recently in an Airbnb, which was so fantastic, I ordered it. And it's called How to Be More Tree: Essential Life Lessons for Perennial Happiness. Trees are amazing. Sure, they change carbon dioxide into oxygen, which is pretty important if you like breathing. But did you know they also build networks with other trees, can take action when they are being threatened, and have all sorts of clever ways to carry on growing, even when they are knocked flat? Trees have been around for nearly 400 million years, a good amount of time to accumulate wisdom, and they have become masters at adapting, surviving, and thriving. In our complex and often confusing human existence, it's not always easy to keep a cool head and a happy heart. If something is getting under your bark, or you're suffering from a few snapped branches, or you just need reminding to enjoy the feeling of the sun on your foliage, we hope you will find some inspiration in these pages to help deal with life's bumps and bruises. So sit back, Let the wind gently rustle your canopy and discover how to be more tree. And as we move through, I will share some of the lessons from the trees. Noticing that trees don't move far and fast. They tend to be pretty stable and relaxed. And so I invite you here to set an intention for this next time on your mat. What's your aspiration? How would you like to feel? Might you like to feel more tree, or more happy, or more present, more relaxed, more connected? What is it that you would like to feel? Setting your own intention today. When you've connected with it, tucking it into that pocket behind your heart, that pocket you see on the lateral view of the X-ray, carrying it with you for this time period, perhaps for the rest of the evening, and maybe even into the week ahead. Taking in another long cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. We'll lower our hands and open our eyes, coming back together in this Zoom space. Finding your sit bones and recentering, reconnecting into the earth. Taking in an inhale, reaching those arms up towards the sky. We'll take our right thumb and middle finger, grab the left wrist, and tip ever so gently to the right. Just stretching, waking up the lungs, creating space for some of our breathing as we move through. Breathing into every nook and cranny of that left side. And exhale, let it out. We'll bring the hands back to center, switch the clasp of the hands. Inhale, stretch them tall. Moving slowly, exhale, tip to the left, opening up the bottom ribs here, enjoying the lower ribs, sending the breath to every far nether region of the lungs. Opening them up so that as we're relaxed, we can feed and nourish those pockets as well. One more breath here, tug that right wrist slightly to the left. And coming back to center. We'll interlace our hands, flipping them up towards the sky. Round forward and suck your navel back towards your belly. Release the lower back and the shoulders. Press your hands as far forward as you can. Let your head and neck release and enjoy the sensations, the fingers. Press the palms all the way towards the front. Reaching, expanding the back ribs, opening them up. Huge breath in and out. Reach your arms back up towards the sky. Exhale, open them out towards the side walls. Flexing your wrists, press your scapula together, pinching them tight, 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 noticing the tension, and with intention, release. One more time, inhale, pinch tight, 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 and exhale, release. Wrap your arms in front, right elbow under left. We're going to grab our scapula, medial edge, if you can reach it. Lifting your elbows up over your chest without judgment. Lowering your elbows down and drop your head and neck into the cradle of your arms. Squeezing tight, giving yourself a hug, appreciation, kindness. Sending more of those positive neurochemicals throughout. 2 breaths here. Enjoying the squeeze, enjoying the hug, enjoying the stretch and the breath. Squeeze tight on the inhale and exhale, release. Bring your chin back to shoulder height, elbows back to shoulder height. Release your arms, press them into the side walls, wrists flex, spread your fingers wide and relax. Pinch the scapula together. Once again, just enjoying the tension and release with intention. Wrap your arms in the opposite cross, likely left under right, but the opposite of whatever you did last time. Once again, wiggle your fingers as close to the medial edge of the scapula as you can. Lifting your elbows up over your chest without judgment, lowering them down. Drop your chin into your chest, release the head and neck, and squeeze tight on the inhale. Giving yourself a huge nourishing hug, and exhale, release. Squeeze tight again on the inhale. And exhale, release as the neurochemicals spread throughout the body. Bring your chin back to neutral. Lift the elbows up. Untangle them towards the sides. Lower them down. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears. Scrunch them tight. Drop your occiput into the cradle of the shoulders, squeezing tight. And exhale, release and enjoy. From here, we're going to come into a supported child's pose if you have props. If you don't have props, you can do an unsupported child's pose. For child's pose here, you are going to have toes together, knees apart in whichever position you choose. A supported child's pose, you can either just use the block to rest your head on, or the bolster, I mean. If you have blocks, you can actually place one block on the medium setting, one block on the lower setting, and create a little bit of an angle for the bolster. It feels really lovely. And you'll bring your knees apart so that the bolster kind of comes right into your tummy. Toes will connect. You'll sink your hips back towards your heels and allow yourself to rest, to drape over the bolster and rest your hands on the side. Palms will be down. And I recommend gazing to one side or the other. We will switch halfway. And for those of you who are doing a unsupported child's pose, reach your arms long and rest in a position where your third eye or forehead can rest on the floor rather than turning from one side to the other. And allow your breath to slow here. In restorative yoga, we hold poses for a lot longer than in yin or gentle, and definitely longer than in the hatha type class I usually teach. And so allow yourself to sink in here, noticing any discomfort at the resting. It's an intentional rest and release and surrender right into this beautiful, comfortable, either the earth or the bolster. If your mind begins to wander, come back to the breath. And when you come back to the breath, even the inhale and the exhale. If your knees are uncomfortable or it's uncomfortable to sink your hips back, you can take a blanket and put it between the fold of your knees to give you even more support. And I'll model that for anybody who needs to do that. One of the things about restorative yoga is learning how to use all the things to make yourself comfortable. There's always something else to use. And as you relax here, I will share a few lessons from trees. Beginnings are small. The Japanese maple. When you have big dreams, it's natural to want to make them happen straight away. But as a wise person once said, patience isn't in the waiting, it's in how you deal with having to wait. And Japanese maples have this all worked out. Patience is a virtue. Patience, planning, and taking time to reflect on our experiences is an important part of figuring out where we're going. The yew is the wise old grandmother of trees. It is traditionally associated with magic and is thought to have been able to live for up to 2,000 years. Draw strength from others. Aspen. Making the effort to connect with those around us can bring powerful results. The aspen knows that there's no prize for acting like a tough guy who doesn't need anyone. In fact, belonging to something bigger than themselves is key to their strength. Each straight-trunked tree may look like a tall and proud individual, but under the surface, it is part of a single organism connected by their root system to all the other trees in the stand. If one tree is closer to water or important nutrients, it shares the goodies with the rest of the gang. For those of you who are gazing to one side, turn your gaze to the opposite side to be kind to your neck. Ask for help when you need it. The elm. The elm is not embarrassed to ask for help when it finds itself in a tricky situation. If it comes under attack from caterpillars, it releases pheromones to attract parasitic wasps who lay their eggs inside the caterpillars and neutralize the threat. We often think that self-reliance is the key to success, but the elm knows that you don't need to try to handle everything yourself. Sometimes you just have to call in the wasps. Adapt to your environment. American beech. Ever let life's little niggles get under your bark? The ancestors of the American beech did. This tree started out in the tropics, where annoying little plants called epiphytes would try to grow in the cracks of its trunk. So the American beech developed a lovely smooth bark, and the epiphytes were out of luck. Consciously working on developing an even calm exterior, you'll find your personal epiphytes will roll right off. If your mind is wandering, come back to the breath. Be authentic, the hornbeam. It's sometimes difficult to be wholly ourselves in every situation. There's often a temptation to change who we are to please the crowd. Learning to be authentic means accepting and enjoying the bark we're in. Trees don't waste chlorophyll trying to be something they're not. They focus on their own growth without worrying about what everyone else is up to. So we'll gently begin to come out of the child's pose. And you will come up to a seat, moving the bolster out of the way, moving the blocks out of the way. We'll extend our legs long in front, and you grab your bolster once again, placing the bolster atop your legs. We're going to come into a supported forward fold to release the back once again. You can use the tops of your feet to hold the bolster in towards you, or a pillow. If you don't have a pillow, you can still slide forward, as we're going to do over the bolster. Release your head and neck and allow yourself to soften in. Once again, in restorative, it's not the intention is not to overstretch, to relax in comfort. For many of you, your forehead won't reach the bolster, so if you want to put a block atop, you can, or rest your forearms on the bolster. Coming into relaxation here. Enjoying. Noticing perhaps the release in the backs of the legs. Gentle, easy, energy shifting. And if you find it activating, send the breath, and with intention, slow things down. Noticing the breath pouring into both sides of the lungs and the back. And with your head down, shutting out the light, shutting out the noise, trying to quiet that monkey mind. And allow yourself to enjoy. If the fidgets come in, come back to the breath. And if you're not comfortable, readjust to be comfortable. Folding farther forward is not better or more helpful. You may wish to come out a bit. Be in a spot where you can sink in, release and let go. Always have a plan B, the blackthorn. You never know when there might be a herd of hungry goats or moth infestation just around the corner. So it's always good to have a backup plan. Even trees, like the blackthorn, which if you've ever been caught by one while collecting sloes for gin, you know are very much all about thorns. Have a second line of defense in case implanting a big barb into one's skin doesn't work. If a branch is snipped, they release wound hormones called jasminites. Love where you live, the willow. It's hard to thrive if you don't take care of your immediate environment. The willow doesn't put up with a messy riverbank or a grubby river. It shores up crumbly soil within its root system and turns pollutants in the water into fertilizing nitrates. Self-care can start with something as simple as a lovely new bed linen, a special lunch, or a stabilized riverbank. Bask in the sun, the mountain hemlock. Serotonin is nicknamed the happy chemical because higher levels in our brain correlate with feeling positive and calm. Scientists are not sure why, but they think that our brains release more serotonin when we're out in the sunshine. There's certainly no doubt that spending time outdoors is vital for our well-being. Trees can't survive without sunlight, and those like the coniferous mountain hemlock need lots of it. So when you're next thinking of staying inside on a sunny day, consider this. If the mountain hemlock had legs, it would use them to take it to the sunniest spot it could find every time. Find your happy place. We all need different things in order to thrive. The trick is to find what works for you. Some of us bask in full sun. Others love the challenging conditions of a windy mountaintop. Most of us wouldn't feel like our best selves if we stood around in a swamp all day, but this suits the alder down to the ground. Its secret is the bacteria that live in its roots. The tree simply supplies the sugars the bacteria need. The bacteria supply the nutrients missing from the waterlogged soil. The result is that the alder flourishes where other trees cannot. We'll slowly come out of the supported forward fold, and we're going to come into sleeping pigeon. For those of you whose knees don't allow you to do sleeping pigeon, you can do reclining pigeon, which is figure 4, otherwise known as figure 4. For those of you that want to do sleeping pigeon, I recommend putting a block under the bolster so it's at a slight angle. You'll move it, the block is going to be right in the middle of the bolster. You will come to hands and knees over the bolster. Bring your right foot to in front of the left knee to the left side of the mat. You will slowly slide the left foot back, coming to rest atop the bolster. Usually at this point you have to adjust the bolster and hug it in close to you. And you will lay yourself down atop the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you simply rest on the earth. You can fold your hands underneath like a pillow, and I will model that. Some of you might like that. The stretch is a little bit more intense. It really depends on your hips. You want to find something in sleeping pigeon that feels amazing. If your right knee is uncomfortable here, you want to come out. You can reach your arms long in front if that feels good. If you're on the bolster, hug the bolster.
and gaze to one side. And we'll switch partway through. Sleeping pigeon is a pose that releases a lot of emotion. And so it is one where sometimes people cry. That is normal and expected. It's a chance to release and let go and soften. If this pose doesn't work for anyone, you can come into reclining pigeon, which is what we call figure 4, and I can model that. If you come to your back with your knees bent, you'll bring your right ankle over your left knee, thread your hands behind the left thigh and lift up that left foot, and you'll have a stretch in the right hip. Your ankles should remain flexed to protect your knees, and your elbow could press into that right knee if you want more stretch, or you can hang out here. And if this is too stretchy on your hip, you can release the leg and just keep it on the earth. You get benefit from all of these. And again, overstretching or being in pain is not helpful. And so as you're in sleeping pigeon, with intention, draw your attention to that right hip. Send the breath to the right hip. Notice what's there. And let it soften. Perhaps let it release. Let things go. Attend to your core, the black walnut. Focus on building your inner strength, and you'll have a solid trunk to support you through the stresses of everyday life. Trees are masters of this. After all, their trunk has to support all the weight of their branches and foliage on the windiest days. The center of the trunk is called the heartwood, and in the black walnut, in particular, this has some impressive inner strength. It is admired for its beauty and its strength, and its heartwood is so tough, it can withstand huge forces. Plan for the future. The mangrove. Life can often feel like a struggle, and it's easy to get caught up in dealing with the day-to-day. Although the thoughts of future can be overwhelming, it really does pay to plan ahead. Mangroves have developed some amazing adaptations so they can live in salty water. Even finding a clever way to use the water to spread future generations of trees. Look on the bright side, the chestnut. Learning to live in the moment means that when the good times come around, you're open to making the most of them. Every May, chestnuts grow beautiful blossoms known as candles. The smell attracts lots of insects, and everyone is invited to a big old pollen party. This feel-good vibe brings rewards in the shape of pollination, and come autumn, its boughs hang heavy with lots of glossy conkers. Sure, one day it will be winter again, but while the sun shines, grow flowers. So we'll begin to come out of whichever pigeon pose you have chosen. If you are in sleeping pigeon, you will untangle, you'll lift up, untangle that right leg, and I recommend coming back to hands and knees and lifting up into an easy downward dog to release your hips and even things out. Releasing the head and neck here, perhaps lowering your heels towards the floor, stretching your hips towards the sky. Big breath here. One more big deep inhale and exhale. And pressing one heel to the floor, switching sides, bend the opposite knee and press the other heel to the floor. And then you'll come back down to hands and knees. Reorganize your block if need be, your bolster if need be. And you don't have to do the same thing on this side. So notice if this hip would prefer something different. You will bring that left foot in front of the right knee, bringing the left foot all the way to the right side of the mat, sliding the right knee back, and draping yourself with grace over the bolster. And as you arrive here, please turn your neck to the side that you did not gaze to last time. Your not preferred side. Sending this side of the neck some love and appreciation, knowing it's never your preferred side, and enjoying it. And drawing your attention to that hip and sending the breath there. And when you've gotten comfortable, come back to the breath and rest. If anyone is doing reclining pigeon, switch legs, be the left ankle atop the right knee, and allow yourself to soften in and enjoy and let go. Big, long, deep cleansing breaths. Nourish that left hip with intention. If things begin to grip, wiggle your toes, releasing. Allow yourself to sink in and really enjoy this. Enjoying the slow, enjoying the rest, enjoying the stillness. Don't be afraid to branch out. The London plane. Step outside your comfort zone and you'll be surprised what you can achieve. The London plane isn't an indigenous urbanite. It's the offspring of the Asian plane and the American sycamore. But it has embraced its new environment and adapted perfectly to city living. Its bark peels, meaning it can shed soot and other pollutants, and it deals stoically with having its roots rudely tarmacked over by city planners. Get plenty of rest. The silver fir. Make hay while the sun shines, they say, and when it doesn't, put down your rake and take a load off. Conifers, like the silver fir, are pros at knowing when to take it easy. These guys keep their needles all year, unlike their broadleaf friends, so they can photosynthesize a little bit on sunny days in the winter. But they still slow down at this time of year and focus on preventing water loss through their leaves. Stand tall. The baobab. If you ever need a reminder to stand tall and be proud of what you can do, have a look at the baobab. There's no polite way of saying it. This tree looks odd, but it has some often skills. It thrives in the harsh conditions of the African savanna. And while other trees might have to put up with being nibbled by goats or even a giraffe, the baobab has to connect with the attentions of thirsty elephants, penetrating its soft bark. It's the only tree that can expand to store water, and it lives for 2,000 years. Coming back to the breath, we will begin to come out of sleeping pigeon on this side, likely noticing a slowness within. Coming back up to downward dog over the bolster, undoing your hips once again with kindness, moving very slowly, even twisting gently one side or the other with your hips. And we'll come back down to hands and knees, and we're going to come to a supine Shavasana, which is close to lying on the floor. We spend very little time on the front side of our body, noticing it and connecting it to things. So you'll lie down flat on the earth. Place your hands as a pillow, placing your third eye right atop the pillow of your hands. Your elbows are bent. The front of your hips is flat on the earth. Legs are extended. Tops of the feet lightly grazing the earth as well. And take a moment here to scan, starting with your forehead, noticing the pressure of your hands under your forehead. Noticing the earth underneath your forearms, your elbows. Notice the part of your chest that's lying on the earth. Notice the connection, the pressure going down through your belly. What do you notice? Notice the front of your hips on the floor, your thighs on the floor. What's touching the earth beneath you? Taking a moment to enjoy the sensation of the pressure on the fronts of the body. And come back to your breath. We'll be here for 5 more breaths. Noticing once again any part of your body calling out, sending a message. Enjoying the attention or the pressure. Last smooth, even breath here. We'll come back up to hands and knees from here and come back into an easy child's pose, releasing the lower back without any support, wiggling your fingers all the way forward, lower the third eye, and enjoy the stretch once again. Sending the breath into the lower regions of the ribs. 2 breaths here. And when you're ready, we'll slowly come back up to hands and knees. And we are going to flip over to our backs. Keep your bolster nearby and or your blocks. We're going to come into a supported bridge to start. As you arrive on the earth, your knees will be bent, soles of the feet flat on the earth. And give yourself a moment here to arrive. How we move in and out of poses is key to the work that they do and the way that they feel. Allowing yourself to relax and enjoy the earth here. Noticing the parts of your body that are touching the earth, soles of the feet, palms of the hand, perhaps the forearms and the sacrum, perhaps the upper arms, your scapula, crown of your occiput of your head. Just notice and enjoy the pressure here. 3 breaths just resting here. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Enjoying the luxuriousness of the slow. Enjoy the deliciousness of the breath. From here, we're going to come into supported bridge, and you can either take a bolster or a block. Either one is fine, depending on which you prefer. You'll press into your feet and into one hand with the block in the other hand, sliding the block on the lowest setting underneath the sacrum. So you have a very flat, secure surface underneath you, allowing the sacrum to connect into the block, feeling stable. If you are using a bolster, you can slide that right under your sacrum. You can also slide a big giant book like Harry Potter under your sacrum. And allow yourself here to come in this reclined position back to the breath. Noticing the flow downward back into the heart. Use the breath to circulate that blood, returning back to the heart space and the heart center. If it would feel good to you, you can bring a hand to heart, hand to belly, or bring your hands above you in an easy cactus shape, releasing the chest. Do whichever one feels best to your body in this moment. Taking a moment to listen, try them out, and enjoy. Come back to the slow, easy breaths. We'll be here for 3 more long, deep, smooth breaths. Notice how your heart feels. And noticing how your head feels. And a moment to notice how your nervous system feels. Perhaps very different than when you began. Slowly lift your hips up and slide the blocks out. If it would feel good to your back, you can bring your knees into your chest and just give them a hug and rock side to side on the sacrum, a little massage. And if not, just leave your hips flat on the floor and transition for a moment here. Next, we're going to come into a supported fish. And so when your feet are back on the floor, you'll roll your knees to one side, pressing into your hands, and come up to a seat. And supported fish can be done with lots of different props. I prefer to do it with just blocks. A lot of people prefer to do it with a bolster as it's more nourishing. So I've set up the blocks on my mat. The block for your occiput is on the tallest setting. The block that will touch the front of the block, the front block will touch the base of your bra line. And you can lower yourself back right here on those blocks and place your occiput on the taller block. One of the reasons I love this version of supported fish is it does a little occipital release. So for those of you who maybe have headaches, it's amazing. It also lifts the chest up in a bit of a higher way if you are really enjoying the heart opener or you have a tight front of the chest. If this is too pokey or not relaxing, you can take the bolster and lie it atop the blocks and use that to recline, bringing your rear end as close to the bolster as possible, lying yourself back and reaching your arms out to the side so the chest is open, heart is open, shining towards the sky, and you can close your eyes. You can decide here how you would like your legs. They can be long in front, they can be cross-legged, or they can be in butterfly pose, stretching the inner thighs. If you have more support for the hips, grab those. But most of us don't have 4 blocks at home. So notice which of the leg positions feels the most restorative and relaxing for you, and do that. Come back to the breath and enjoy it, letting it pour down through your nose, down into your chest and into your belly. Big, long, deep, nourishing breaths. Allowing yourself to sink in and fully relax here. Soften. As thoughts float into your mind, let them float out. Imagine if you were a tree. You would soften, drink in the water of the rain, let the sun pour down on you. Perhaps considering some of those lessons from the tree. There are many more. All the trees teaching us different things. We'll be here for 3 more long, deep, nourishing, delicious breaths. Pouring them into whatever body parts would like the breath. Taking a moment to notice, listen, and care for yourself well. When you're ready, we'll begin to come out. You can press into your hands, lifting yourself up gently. And you'll take the blocks and the bolster out from underneath you. We're going to come into Shavasana. In restorative yoga, we bring a bolster underneath the knees to support yourself. If you have a blanket and you want to place that over you, you can do that. If you happen to have eye pillows at home, you can use those. Getting yourself nice and comfortable.
Noticing as you arrive on your mat, if anything needs attention, shifting. Taking the time to set yourself up well. And I invite you to bring a hand to heart and a hand to belly as we begin. Checking in. Noticing how your body feels here, how your heart feels, how your belly feels, how your nervous system feels. Notice your chest rise and fall with each breath. And allowing yourself to fall into a very deep relaxation here. Letting go of control of the breath. You can bring your hands down by your sides or leave them on your heart and your belly, whatever is most restorative. And allow yourself to completely let go, to surrender fully and rest. If you wish to stay in Shavasana longer, please do. It's one of the beautiful things about yoga on Zoom. If you wish to come out, gently begin to deepen your breath. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Reach your arms long above you and your toes long in front of you as you take a big, deep cleansing inhale. Letting the breath out. And slowly bring your knees into your chest and roll over to one side. Pause there. Notice how you feel. Notice if you have a sense of more peace, more calm, more ease. And when you're ready, press up into your hands, come back to a comfortable seat where we began. You can sit back up atop your bolster or just flat on the earth. And allow yourself to sink right back into that Shavasana feeling as your ischial spines connect deeply, root down like the roots of trees into the earth. Palms open on your knees. Taking in a long drink of breath in through your nose, long, smooth, and nourishing. And out through your mouth. And another moment to enjoy. And we'll bring a hand to heart and another hand to top. Checking in with that heart space. Thanking yourself for taking this time to go slow. Be still. And enjoy resting. May you all have a beautiful, restful, restorative, and peaceful evening. Thanks so much for practicing with me tonight. Namaste.